So WeGot is a play on IoT, and it stands for water, electricity, gas of things. Our first product is our end-to-end water management platform. This is called WeGot Aqua. The problem that we're looking to solve is fairly well documented. We're running out of water in all of our cities, right? And Niti Aayog has, in this article, they have indicated that in the next 10 years, we will only be able to meet about 50% of our water requirements. And when you think about the problem like this, there are only two ways you can solve it. Either you can increase the supply or you can bring down the demand. And this is exactly where WeGot focuses its energy on, to bring down the demand in buildings. And so far, we've been able to bring down the demand by an average of about 35%, and which has resulted in savings of over 1 billion liters of water so far. So this is the combination of the two solutions, the hardware and the software, and together this has helped us save over 1 billion liters. Actually, we're pushing on 3 billion liters. We're currently deployed in more than 30,000 homes. We manage over 30 million square feet of commercial real estate. At an 80 apartment property in Bangalore, they were spending 161,000 rupees, which roughly translates to about 2,000 rupees per month per house, right? And then you can see that we deployed this in the beginning of summer, Feb, March, April, and it went down from 161,000 to a shade under 75,000, or about 900 rupees. So that is the size of the savings that they will see in their demand. Obviously, when we save this amount of water, you will also be able to reduce the electricity required for pumping and the electricity required for treatment. And as a domino effect, you will also be able to reduce the wear and tear of your equipment, the capital expenditure that you've made in the equipment that you have.
The lower part which you see here is water quantity. And when we're talking about quantity, many of the areas in the country have very poor groundwater. So how do we recharge these aquifers? And can we do it in a decentralized fashion? Most of the aquifer recharge technologies have been large scale technology, big ones requiring a lot of infrastructure. Can we do it on a smaller scale where it can be affordable to a smaller group of people or individuals? That's something which is what is needed. If we have to treat each and every drop of water by way of removing fluoride and iron, we are going to spend huge amount of money, and that kind of money is actually not available. So can we do it in a scale which is good, reasonable, and which will supply water which is free of fluoride and arsenic? The main point here is the capex of this development and automation. Most of these plants which are located, they are in remote areas. Some people are not even skilled to operate it, and you can't possibly be sending very skilled person there, because then your operation maintenance cost goes up to an extent that you can't possibly make the plant survive. So there's a space of a lot of work which can be done on automation, and therefore is sustenance. And the other aspect was, so above what I talked about was water quality, and the lower part which you see here is water quantity. And when we're talking about quantity, many of the areas in the country have very poor groundwater, and they are becoming more and more like that. So how do we recharge these aquifers? And can we do it in a decentralized fashion? Most of the aquifer recharge technologies have been large scale technology.
You're just measuring your usage, storage, soil moisture if you use it for agriculture purpose. And then you have control and management, where you tie up all these things together, have a cloud-based application, and even offer, like some of these daytime services to the end user. Then you have the atoms part, where you again have treatment. So as Dr. Rakesh was speaking about, like we also have to look at into solutions which are much more easier from treatment side, also increase supply for community purpose. So gray water treatment, sewage treatment, and even disinfection at a decentralized or small scale level could be very viable. And then to increase supply for millions of people are also looking at desalination and even rainwater harvesting. And we at Duravu are looking at how you can improve drinking water with atmospheric water. So these are the few things where atoms come into play, and we see a lot of R&D happening in treatment and freshwater sourcing side also, and like it will keep happening in the next 5 to 10 years, where there's a much more possible ways to like completely change how the current system works versus how we have new systems which like reach a lot more population where infrastructure currently doesn't reach. So if you look at market segments and approach, one thing with water is, like it's a lot more complicated than, selling traditional hardware or consumer electronics or even services, which most people we keep ordering on or, like use on day to day. It's much more complex. It's mostly B2B. So I've divided into how different market segments are. One is you have institutions where you have schools, offices, or even hospitals or government agencies. You have real estate where you deal with apartments, bungalows, even small villa projects. Then you have industries and agriculture which are focused on uh, they want exact some outcomes out of deploying a technology, either in reduction in certain chemicals or getting more gray water reuse and very standard things. So you have to take much more sales-based approach, convince these clients about your efficiencies and benefits of your technology. Then when you come to this segment where you have to deal with cities, utilities, and even like deploying technology in remote areas or communities, you have to look into partnerships and building these partnerships either with corporates or NGOs who work in these areas or even with the government, because they'll be the ones who will be mostly taking decisions on uh, such market segments. So it remains, like a vast problem to so narrow focus is much more appreciated early upon, so that you are able to, like first make a mark in some segments and then scale from there to adjacent segments. So from the business model side also, we see, water has been one thing which we have always done as a pay-per-use concept mostly. Like you won't be buying a lot of things related to water, you just want to pay for the service. Mostly direct sales, we on a day-to-day basis we see mostly with purifiers and filters. But then like a lot of big companies who are who do the treatment part, also supply distribution, they keep on buying many equipment and systems from time to time. So there's a one-time payment system, and then you also have an AMC, something which is optional, which you can keep for to maintain your bottom line. But here you have to mostly focus on sales and marketing to grow. So that
All the traditional systems, as you said, water meter, the pipings that is used, the apparatuses which are normally used, they are normally have a system of certifying, and there are standards specified. In terms of new technology which have come in, I don't think there is a government ka CPHU related system which is in place. So what is required is that few of these systems can be tested in some research institutions or institution like National Physical Laboratory, which looks at a specific component-wise certification. There could also be a possibility of doing system-related certification or verification. Many times certification word for something which is not listed in BIS doesn't go through. So most of the institution will not actually agree, but evaluation they can. And of course, the easiest thing after that is to do piloting. That's how new ideas and new technologies have come in. Many of those implementation. I would also encourage to all of you, those who are in startup space, to write to Bureau of Indian Standard that there is a need here, that we need to have a space of finding out what the basic minimum standard should be there. So they always work out. So BIS is much more, I would say, a very open organization now, and they are looking at new things. Earlier, they used to be only doing standards which are known and only small modification, right? So it can be possible.
See, I think water is priced artificially low. When you price it so artificially low, I don't think you value it as much. We're more careful about electricity, and there is a lot of investment that has gone in the electricity segment or the energy segment. and that has spurned off more innovation there. Right now, the price of water is low, the amount of energy that we've invested into water is low. So I think there needs to be a change at the way we look at water and how we manage the water better. I mean, both on the supply and on the demand side.